For today's lesson, 12.4, multiplying and dividing rational numbers, we need to keep in mind that the opposite of a negative is a positive. That's how we're going to read our negative signs in this lesson. And then we'll just apply what we know already about multiplying mixed numbers, dividing mixed numbers, and same with decimals. So we're really just going to work out a couple practice problems together, and I think you'll get the hang of it. Number 1, -5 1/5 divided by 2 1/3. Okay, before we can deal with the division symbol, we need to remember the first thing we need to do is get rid of our mixed numbers and turn those into improper fractions. So 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26/5. Don't forget to drop down our negative sign. Plug back in our division symbol. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7/3. Okay, so we need to remember that to divide fractions, we're actually going to use the multiplicative inverse. So -26/5. The opposite of division is multiplication. And the reciprocal, or the multiplicative inverse of 7/3 is 3/7. Some of you like to think of the shortcut as keep, change division to multiplication, and flip the second. Okay, before we multiply, we're going to check to see if there's any reducing we can do. 5 and 3, unfortunately no, and same with 26 and 7. So we will multiply straight across. 26 times 3 is 78. The opposite of a positive is a negative. 5 times 7 is 35. We can express that as a mixed number. 35 goes into 78 twice. 35 times 2 is 70, which means there's 8 left over out of 35. And again, let's carry over that negative sign. Okay, let's try one with decimals. Number 2. Let's do -2 5/10 times -3 6/10. So we're just gonna set up our multiplication. 5 times 6 is 30, carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. Done with the 6, placeholder down below. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Let's go ahead and add them up. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 and 5 is 10, carry the 1. And 7 and 2 more makes 9. We can estimate this if we want. 2.5 is close to 3, a little bit less though. 3 6/10 is close to 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So we know this was a little less than 3, so our product will be a little bit less. We can estimate the decimal point right here. We can also double check using our strategy. There were 2 numbers behind decimal points. Move it twice, and we get an answer of 9. Let's check our sign. The opposite of a negative makes it a positive 9. Okay, let's try another one, number 3. If I am going too fast, you just make sure you pause the lesson, catch up, and then push play when you're ready. Number 3, -1/7 times 4/5 times -7. So we could solve parentheses first. The commutative and associative property, though, allow me to move things around for multiplication. So I'm going to actually move this -7. I'm going to switch the places of these. -7 and put my 4/5 at the end. And then I'm going to put this over 1. I don't really need those parentheses because it's all multiplication and we can multiply in any order. Then I'm gonna do a little bit of reducing first. I move these because I notice these 7s can be reduced. I guess I could have just reduced without moving them too. 7 goes into 7 once. I don't see any more reducing that I can do. I multiply straight across. 1 times 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 times 5 is 5. And then let's check our signs. I have 2 negatives in the problem. The opposite of a negative makes it a positive 4/5. Okay, that completes our practice for 12.4. Go ahead and take a look at the problems in the textbook. Bye.